So the other day I posted a tweet thread on what I'd do if I had to start from scratch all over again in business and I had to generate money quickly. Now, this tweet thread went semi-viral. It got something like 1,600 likes, a ton of retweets. So it happened to resonate with people. So I wanted to make a video walking through this thread, walking through this business model, how I would build this step by step, and hopefully it's helpful to you if you're a new entrepreneur or you want to be a business owner, you want to generate some more money, you're just not sure what to do or which idea to start. This is something that pretty much anyone can do. So let's dive into it. So basically, the business model, the business idea is automation consulting for non-tech, sort of traditional business owners. So think of your local landscaping business or appliance repair business. These people who own these businesses are usually older, maybe they're in their 40s or 50s. And if you look at their businesses, if you look at their back end, their operations, usually they have a lot of processes that can be automated by technology, by software such as Zapier, Integromat, and so on. And there are a lot of businesses like this. In the tweet thread, I said, I guarantee that 50% of the small businesses in your town have a bunch of these manual standard operating procedures that can be completely automated. For example, let's say there's a landscaping business and every time a customer makes an inquiry, there's an admin assistant who's spending 30 minutes moving data around, putting it in this spreadsheet and this other program, so on and so forth. And so that happens every time someone makes an inquiry. That's a lot of time. Or maybe every time a new job is created, that same assistant has 5 or 6 things they have to do, a lot of which could be automated by this software. So your pitch is to go to these business owners and basically say, hey, I'll automate a bunch of your back-end tasks and processes, and you'll save more than 5 hours a week. Our average client saves 10. If you don't save more than 5 hours a week, I will refund your deposit and you won't need to pay the setup fee. You won't need to pay anything. That is a guarantee. So here's how I'd build this business from day one. The first thing I would do is learn how to do this automation consulting work. Now, this sounds kind of complicated. It sounds technical. It's really not. There are tools like Zapier. So Zapier, if you haven't heard of it, it is essentially a no-code internet automation tool. So what you can do is link 2 different apps or more together. So I can say, when I get a sale from my credit card processor, like Stripe, enter customers' information in this Google Sheet. And that's just one example. You can do some complex stuff with this. And it's quite intuitive once you start using it. It's really not hard at all. So I would spend the first week or 2 really diving deep into Zapier, watching YouTube tutorials, experimenting with it, figuring out how it all works. This will be intuitive, especially if you've grown up with computers. And the thing is, a lot of these small business owners, they either don't know this exists, or they don't have the time to even think about it, or they just put it in the too hard basket. Like, I'm not technical, I run a landscaping business, all that stuff. Yeah, it's above my pay grade. I don't understand it. So that's what I'd start with. Learn how to use Zapier, learn how to use Integromat, learn these tools. You could take a course on this. You could watch YouTube. The second thing I'll do is develop your offer, your service offer. So to do this and to do it well, you need to read a book called $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. This is step 1. Understand how to craft an offer that's irresistible, that your potential customer or client wants, desires, and will pay you for. You want to define your target customer. Are you just targeting local small businesses? Are you niching down inside of that and only targeting like home service businesses? These are things that you want to think about, and then I'd build the offer. So what exactly are you doing for the client? And by the time you've gone through Zapier, by the time you've talked to a bunch of these businesses, you'll have a better idea of what their issues are on the back end, how much time per week their office person is spending on these tasks, and so on and so on and so forth. During this process, I would be patient. I would try and get meetings with a bunch of these small business owners. sit down for coffee, ask them a bunch of questions, try and do it in a way where you're not trying to close them too much. You're not being, you're not trying to hard sell them, but you're trying to understand what their problems are. As part of your offer, you do need a solid guarantee. I mentioned this before. You should say something like, if we don't save 5 hours of your time or your employees' time per week, then you don't need to pay us. And if you're confident in your skills and you look at the business and you see a clear inefficiency that can be improved, then you should be able to make that guarantee with confidence. So once you have learned how to use Zapier, you know how to do this automation stuff, you've built out your offer, you've got a good guarantee, you understand who your customer is, the third step is to start pitching businesses and to start selling your services. And so what I would do is make a list of all the potential clients in your local area. So if you live in a town or a city, that is where I would start. You can do this remotely, you can do it over the internet, but it is a lot easier to do when you can visit the offices, you can spend some time there, you can see which processes are being executed and where the inefficiencies are. It's a lot harder to do remotely. And you will find in a lot of cases that small business owners prefer someone local. That's just the way it is. That is where I would start. Again, you can do it remotely. I just think it's harder. Once you've made that list of all those potential clients, I would cold email, I would cold call, cold contact the people on that list, just systematically work through it. I would focus on trying to get a one-on-one physical meeting with them. Sit down for coffee, grab lunch, and make your pitch. Basically explain, here's what we do. This is how we save you time. Here's the guarantee. And one part of that pitch would be a free audit. You could say to them, hey, I'll give you a free audit. I'll look at everything that you're doing on the admin side in terms of job processing, invoice processing, so on and so on and so on. And I will show you where you can save time. And if you choose not to work with me, that's fine. You'll have this free audit that you can implement yourself. But if you do want to work with me, then we will implement that plan. And so you go, you do that free audit for them, and you get an insight into their business, and you find that they could save 8 hours per week. So you go back to them and you say, hey, I can save you 8 hours per week. I've looked at everything in your business. Here's how I can do it. And chances are they're going to say yes. If they can see a clear benefit, they're going to say yes because they don't know how to do the implementation. You do. So I would include that as part of your pitch, some sort of free audit. Build that relationship, make the pitch, emphasize the pain points, which is wasted time, emphasize your guarantee. There's no risk in it for them. There are so many different ways to monetize a service like this. One approach is to just have a recurring fee every month while you work with them. Another approach is to charge an upfront setup fee and then have a maintenance contract. That's what I'd recommend. So the way I would do this personally, I would charge an upfront deposit, 10 to 20% of the setup fee. So let's say we go to a landscaping business that has 20 employees, has a few office staff, and we can save them 10 hours per week. We've figured out there's 10 different automations that we can implement with Zapier to save them 10 hours per week. I would go to them and I would say, hey, look, we can save you 10 hours per week. It's going to cost $2,500, $2,500 for the setup fee. All you need to pay today is 10% of that, $250. Or you might say 20%, $500. And you can pay the rest on completion of the implementation. And then we just charge a $50 per month maintenance fee to make sure everything works, make any changes you need made, and so on and so forth. The important thing here is you want to charge based on the value that you're providing. So you might be thinking, well, building out Zapier automations isn't that hard. I shouldn't be charging that much for it. But you have to remember, if a small business owner can save 10 hours per week, that's worth a lot of money for them. If they're paying an office person $20 an hour to do these tasks, and you can save them 10 hours per week, or that office person 10 hours a week so they can focus on, things that generate more revenue, or they can work less hours, that is $200 per week. In a month, that's over $800. And so you can see if you charge someone $2,500 to implement something that saves them 10, after a few months, that service has paid for itself. So that's what you want to keep in mind. And you can also use that as part of your sales process. You say, look, our average client gets their money back within 2.5 months. Based on this and this and based on our pricing. The maintenance contract is important because with Zapier and with anything like this, things do break from time to time. Logins don't work properly, APIs change, and you will have to make these adjustments and fixes and so on and so forth. You don't want to be doing that for free because as you get more clients, it will just add up. It will be work. So I would charge minimum $50 a month maintenance fee. You could charge more. You could add some more services to that. You could say, hey, I'll build out an extra, automation every month. It's $200 a month or something like that. I wouldn't get too creative with it. I would just say, this is a setup fee, and then we charge $50 to $150 per month maintenance. That should be a sliding scale based on the amount of work you're doing and based on the customer. So obviously, if you're doing this for a 2-person, home services businesses, which is really small, their margins are small, you might charge them a setup fee, you might charge them a $50 maintenance contract. But if you're going to a much bigger business, like a plumbing business that's the biggest in the area with 150 employees, and they are making more money, and they've got more complex automations, and you're saving them 20, 30 hours a week with your implementation, then you do want to charge a much higher maintenance contract because there's going to be more maintenance. And I would be charging upwards of $150 for a business like that. Now, there is a chance that when you pitch the business owner and you tell them the price, they will find it too expensive. Small business owners generally do not like paying for services, despite the fact that they offer them themselves. So if they do this, if you mention a setup fee and they're like, oh, didn't expect it to be that much, you have two options. The first thing I would do is kind of reiterate the time-saving benefit that you're offering them. It's like, yep, I know it's expensive, but after 2.5, 3 months, it will have paid for itself. And if it doesn't save you time, you don't have to pay. So there's actually no risk in it for you. The other thing you can do is offer financing. So instead of paying $2,500 up front or on completion, we can split that over 3 months. And so you only pay, $800 a month or whatever it is. So that is basically the business model. And as you work with more and more clients, you'll get more efficient at building out these automations. You'll have templates, you'll have all this stuff. Your time to implement will go down, and your social proof, the testimonials, the case studies you have will increase. You'll be able to charge more. You'll be able to close better. I think it's a very simple way to build a $10,000 per month business, especially if you're charging $2,500 for a setup fee. All you need is one new client per week. It's 4 clients a month. I think that's quite achievable. And as the maintenance fee stacks up, you'll have some nice recurring revenue. It's not going to be a huge amount, but it will be nice to have, and it will be trickling in regardless of whether you're doing the work or not. So let's take this a step further. Let's say you do this, you watch this video, you're like, Sam, that is a great idea. I'm going to go and do that. And 6 months from now, you're making $10,000 a month and you're happy, but you're like, there's got to be a way to take this to the next level. Let's say you want to take it to $20,000 a month because you want to buy a nicer car, or you're saving for a home, or whatever. I don't know what you want, but let's say you want more money. The first thing I do is offer a more expensive maintenance fee or convert the model to a recurring model completely. So instead of charging a setup fee, you just charge a certain amount per month. The second thing I would do, and the most simplest approach to get from 10 to 20K a month, is to just target bigger businesses with bigger margins that will pay you more money. Again, a small 2-person home services businesses are not going to be able to pay you, $10, $15, $20,000 for implementation, but a bigger business, they will. So you could go to these bigger businesses, you could say, I'll save you 30, 40 hours a week across your team by implementing this stuff, and the price is $25,000. So if you can close a client like that just once per month, that's great. That's all you need to do. You could just focus on one client per month of that size and charge them, 10 times what you charge other clients. Something to think about. The third thing I would do is offer a cheaper done with you service. So not a done for you service where you're actually doing all the work, but a done with you consulting service where you simply teach the office person, the admin person, how to use Zapier, how to set up these processes. You make some recommendations, you map out a sort of a game plan for automation, and you maintain an open line for support if and when they need it. That is a good way to target and close some of those businesses that won't feel comfortable paying, $2,500, or they can't afford it, or they're a little bit hesitant. That is another service you can offer for a much cheaper price because, again, it's not requiring as much of your time. Now, if you're truly ambitious, you might be thinking, yeah, okay, I see the path to $20,000 a month, but I want to make even more than that. If you want to build this business, if you've done this for a year or two and you decide, I want to take this to the next level, like this is what I want to commit the next few years of my life to, I want to scale this to the moon. Here's what I would do. I would upskill yourself and learn as much as you can about operational efficiency. Not Zapier, not Integromat, but operational efficiency, team productivity, how to optimize processes on the back end, 80-20 rule, like how it applies to business, all this kind of stuff. I would learn as much as you can about that. And the truth is, like, if you've done this for a year, you'll already have a lot of ideas about small businesses and how to improve them outside of just automation and Zapier, because you'll see all these problems inside the business. You'll see ways that other technologies and other softwares can improve the business, even if it's outside your core competencies as a business owner. And so you upskill, you learn as much as you can, and then you convert your core offer to something that improves operational efficiency as a whole, with automation, with Zapier automation, for example, being one core component. So you don't sell Zapier consulting, you don't sell automation consulting, you sell operational efficiency consulting. Zapier is one part of that, but there's a whole host of other things as well. The reason why you do this is it kind of gets you into a market where you can charge a lot more, and your total addressable market, as in the people you can actually sell to, widens significantly, because now you can consult with corporate companies, you can consult with much bigger companies who have more complex issues. It's basically a form of management consulting, but still niched down into operational efficiency. And once you've done that, I would enter multiple different verticals. I'm talking, this is how to get to 8 figures, by the way. Do not start by doing this. You'll just be way too distracted and you won't get anywhere. But to get to 8 figures, enter multiple different verticals. I would target small businesses, solopreneurs who don't really understand the tech on the back end, corporates, non-profits, NGOs, you name it. I would build out these different verticals once you've got the system in place. And I'd have different offers for each accordingly, because a solopreneur or a small entrepreneur like myself that has a small team, I'm not going to need the same package that a corporate division with 500 employees is going to benefit from. Then, the icing on the cake, once you've done this for a while, you've got all this data, you've solved all these problems, you've got case studies, you've got testimonials, I would launch a course, an online course, where you basically teach people how to fix these things in your business, how to automate things, how to improve operational efficiency. And now you just increase your total addressable market by a huge amount, because anyone from anywhere in the world can pay, a few $100s or $1,000 to buy your course, implement this on their back end, and if they need help, they can pay you for consulting. That is how you get to 8 figures. So that is basically it. That is the business that I would start if I was starting from scratch all over again and had to make money. I think there's a huge opportunity here. And the good thing about it is that if you're starting in your local market, there's not going to be much competition. Unfortunately, the tweet thread went kind of viral, so I'm expecting there's a few people who might try and do this. Hopefully not anyone in your town, but if so, just do it better. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.